control the vertigo.
Welcome to Anthologic, the TV anthology podcast. I am your host, Mark. Anthologic is a podcast dedicated to exploring the good, the bad, and the odd of horror, science fiction, and the best of mystery suspense anthology shows and series on TV. Join me as we slip through the cracks of reality to approach the extremes of experience, where we can peruse the stories and art of a sinister fairground of strange and wonderful rides. And now we go on to the show that is the focus of this particular episode. Welcome to this episode of Anthologic with your host Mark. Today I'm covering a series, a fairly recent series, anthology series, a sort of sci-fi comedy, I think is the tone of this series, called Dimension 404. This was originally shown on Hulu in fairly short order. There was 6 episodes, and that was the only thing that came out of this show. There was 6 episodes, 1 season. The first 3 episodes aired were available on Hulu streaming service on April the 4th, 2017. Then episode 4 was April the 11th, episode 5, April the 18th, episode 6, April the 25th. So really, it was over 21 days. The whole show was available. But with streaming services, it's not quite the same as broadcast, is it? So, and we all know that. Now, I have decided, I enjoyed this very much, and I've decided I'm really not going to spoil the first episode at all, which means I won't be talking about it too much. But I have to say, this was the sort of thing I do Anthologic for. When you discover something you've never heard of, that no one seems to be talking about, and suddenly, bam, it's good, and this is good. The nearest I could equate it to, the best way to describe this is a kind of American version of Black Mirror, if Black Mirror were comedy, strictly comedy. Now, there is funny stuff, dark funny stuff in Black Mirror, but this is much more sort of lighter toned, and covers some very interesting sci-fi subjects in that episode 1. But I don't want to really talk about it too much. I'll mention the name and sort of what I thought of the acting, but that's about it. In tone, it feels quite a lot like The Twilight Zone or Outer Limits. It's got a narrator, and that is Mark Hamill, of all people. The title, I think, comes from a cross between Dimension X, which was the famous old radio program Dimension X, and the HTTP status code 404, meaning a page can't be found, meaning this thing cannot be found in reality, I guess. And the episodes are interesting length. They're usually what I find is in anthology shows, they tend to be 22, 23 minutes, which means they fill a half an hour slot when there's ads, or about 45 to 48 minutes, which means they fill an hour slot. But this is interesting, I guess, because it's streaming. It doesn't really matter that much. But I mean, I'm not actually. I'll talk about the running length of all of them. I don't know. The running length for the first one was 38 minutes, unusual length. It filled its time well. First episode. Now the opening credits are all very. If you've seen Twilight Zone or Night Gallery or a host of anthology shows, you kind of get what you expect here. This, 2017 is a fairly recent one compared to some. And then we get some narration from our Hamill, which I'm going to guess is the same narration because it wasn't episode specific. It was about where let us take you. It was that kind of thing. it's going to be the same for each episode. Now, the episode was called Matchmaker. Couple of the main character was called Adam, played by Robert Buckley, and one of the other main characters was played by Leah Michelle as Amanda. It's how far should I go? It's about the trials and tribulations of online dating, but with a specific sci-fi twist. Let's put it that way. That's all I'm going to say about it. I encourage you to go find it. I believe it was on YouTube. Let me just double check that before we go on. Yes, I believe it was on YouTube. So it's available there. But if not, it's on Hulu. Okay, so if you haven't got Hulu, you're in trouble. But it's no, my mistake. It's not. Oh no, there are some free with ads versions. So you might be able to find it on YouTube or similar, but otherwise it's Hulu. And the first one is called Matchmaker. I'm really dug this. I thought it was a really well put together, very quality show, as good as say Black Mirror in terms of the sort of writing talent and the acting talent. I think very well, nice piece of work. I would encourage anyone to go find this. Now, apparently there is no further seasons. There were questions about whether there was going to be a second season, but I guess COVID hit a little after this, and that may have put the kibosh on it. Maybe it didn't do that well for Hulu, but you know what? The quality was outstanding of episode 1. If the other ones are even near to the quality of episode 1, it's a great little series. And like I say, I will be watching this at some point once I've finished my entire season 1 of Anthologic, which means I cover everything I've found, at least one episode of everything I've found, which is quite a lot, and it grows every day. Then I'm intending to possibly do less frequent shows, but covering half or an entire season. This is of the better shows, and this is the sort of one I'll be talking about at length in a longer show. There's some real quality to this one. Anyway, yeah, a big recommend from me. Dimension 404. Not that old. 7 years old now? Maybe not, a bit less than 7 years old. Just to give you a flavour of what might be involved, and I don't know if any of these titles give away, but here, titles some of the upper episodes are Matchmaker's the first one, as I said. Sinithrax, Kronos, Polybius, Bob, and Impulse. No, they give nothing away, do they? Nothing. So yeah, I really quite like this. I'm trying to see if there's any other creatives that is mentioned. Paul Oswald apparently appears in one. Tom Noonan appears in another, and as I say, Martin Hamill narrates. Yeah, very enjoyable. I'm going to leave it there, but before I go, may I ask, is anybody out there? I'm not.
We now return control of your television set to you until next week at this same time, when the control voice will take you to